Welcome to the December 9th meeting of the Fitchburg Cultural Council. I now call this meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. Please be advised that FATV is conducting audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves by standing and stating their name and city of residence. Seeing none, I ask that at this time all electronic devices be placed into silent mode. The Fitchburg Cultural Council is a public entity. We are part of the Massachusetts Cultural Council, serving as the local cultural council. Our mission here is to elevate the rich cultural life in Fitchburg, and our members are appointed by the mayor of the city of Fitchburg. We all serve as volunteers, and we are always looking for new members. Feel free to talk to any one of us to learn how you can get involved. You may also email us with your interest at fitchburg.mcc@gmail.com. I'm going to conduct a roll call of the vote, a roll call of attendance for tonight. Liz Murphy, not present. Shara Osgood,
Present.
Tamara Russell Brown,
Present.
Ellen Dowse, not present. Liliana Gomez Fernandez,
Present.
Dan Dow,
Present.
Mike Amadeo,
Here.
Sam Luxama, not present. Catherine Healy, not present. Jen Hemingway,
Present.
and Joe Bowen here. We have a quorum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members. Thank you all for coming tonight. We open every monthly meeting with public comment. We do not have anyone in the audience here from the public that wishes to speak, so we'll be skipping the public comment. And for our agenda tonight, we are hopefully wrapping up our, well, I do have an item here for meeting minutes. We'll be skipping that because there are no meetings to approve for tonight. We'll cover that at the next meeting, whatever that might be. So the one item we really have on the agenda, aside from announcements, is the grant application review. So we're continuing this. This is our third meeting on the subject, I believe, at this point. We are mostly through all of the approvals in the first round, and we'll hopefully move on to the voting and discussion on the second round. And if things work out well, we could actually wrap up tonight with a tentative vote that we will finalize on January 6th. So we'll see how it goes. We do have another meeting coming up next Monday that if for some reason we're unable to get to a point of resolution for this evening, we'll carry the conversation over to next Monday. And we still have to wait until January 6th to finalize the vote. Good morning, Kenesha.
I went to the wrong building. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. You can have a seat here.
Okay.
If you like. We just went through the entire agenda.
Okay.
So you didn't miss much, and we're actually at the point now we're going to start talking about the grant applications. So your timing is perfect.
Oh, yay.
Councilors,
Good evening, everyone.
this is Kenny Chikoy. She is the grantee on our applications that we've reviewed recently in the book there, number 11, 12, 25, and 26. And I know that councilors, we did approve all of our grants for funding, but there were some unanswered questions from councilors about our project initiatives, and this is a forum for Kenesha to introduce yourself, please, and be available to answer any questions. And we can go in either order, whatever you would like.
Introduce right now.
Sure, sounds great.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
All right. Floor. Where are we here? Good evening. And I am Kenesha Coy, and it is very wet and slippery outside, so please keep that in your mainframe. I am a Fitchburg resident. I've lived here since 2013, and this is my second time around living in Fitchburg. I started undergrad in the late 90s, where I lived in South Lancaster. I moved out here briefly, and then went to Florida, never thinking I'd be back in Massachusetts again. So life has a funny way of doing very interesting things. I'm very glad it brought me here. Many of you know I have been finishing up my education as it is pertinent to graduate studies. I just recently became a PhD, not candidate, but I actually am a PhD. So yay with that. And the purpose of that is also, some of you know, I worked in social services, and in education for several years. People tend to look at art as this flowery thing. Oh, you do art? Like, I do art, period, exclamation mark. And it's to be able to help people understand and disseminate information, especially in very troubling topics. One of the main topics I deal with is trauma. There is a lot of bias that's connected to trauma, mental health and social services in particular. People look at trauma as, oh, well, it's only this, you have to be quiet about it. That's part of the problem. We need to be open about issues. And how has quiet helped us? It hasn't. So I think there's a way to be compassionate and respectful, and eventually I'm working towards policy. And that's just a blurby about me. Go art. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Of course.
So specific to the grant applications that were submitted, what do council have for questions before we vote? You can raise your hand or yes, Sharon.
I want some clarification on the projects. I know you were given a limited amount of space to write the proposal, but like the GOE pop-up postcards project, I was very unclear as to how that is being enacted, like what the actual process of that is.
Well, I thank you for your question. I was saying you're kind because there is very limited space in that application. What I will give you the grounding as to how I approach the application. I think, if not all of you, many of you know, I was on the council, and this is 2013. I became the council chair, didn't want that position at all. I was very happy to be in the background. Events led to that being a necessity. So with that, my understanding from that point to current time or present time has been, if the council has a question about your application, they reach out to you and you have an opportunity to clarify. So that's one of the reasons why it was vague. The other is I will fill in some of the holes. So, as I know that I submitted 4 applications, and thank you for at least allowing me to have the time to be able to come in and talk. Had this been a month prior, this would not have happened. So I'm so grateful. So the application that I'm going to be speaking about is, I think when you're speaking, it's application 104780, Go Postcards.
Right.
And what I did, and I'm so grateful that—
Sorry, Commissioner, just for council, 104780 now.
Number 11,
It is.
the postcard.
Which is the number of the house?
Number 11, chapter number 11. Yeah.
I wouldn't know the 11.
Well, you would, that's for us.
Right. So I watched the FATV meeting and I jotted down some notes. And this also works with how I think. I always am able to get patterns. It's an oddity in my mind, just picking up patterns. And the pattern that seemed to come up the most was questions about vagueness and location specifics. Where will the project take place? Questions about how this is a humanities project. Questions needing more clarity about what the actual project is and how will it be a public benefit. These seem to be the questions that popped up. So, public benefit of the project. The public benefits by gaining a deeper understanding of cultural identity, historical perspective, and social values through a familiar, accessible medium, the postcard itself. I was looking at what are tangible ways to be able to include research and be able to also connect conversation and art within a project that's not going to cost a lot. I came up with the postcard. By engaging with these artifacts, the postcard, public can appreciate how everyday items can carry meaningful narratives and reflect broader cultural conversations, fostering a stronger sense of community, empathy, and cultural literacy. This is to enrich civic life and encourage informed dialogue about heritage and shared human experiences. And this is central to the humanities. So what is this project? This is about conversation. We got approval to have a pop-up conversation at Pauper's Pantry. We also got permission to have several conversations at other restaurants. I didn't include that because some of these details are still being firmed up. Permission, yes, but we still are working on other things that are happening at the location. Everybody seems to be excited. That's the depth of the approval that I have. So how do I convey that? Except that, yay, people are happy.
Can I ask a quick question? What does GOE stand for?
I'm getting there. You're gonna be my new best friend. I love it. And you're my glasses partner, so I got you, sir. I got you. So Pop-Up Conversations, it's a humanities-centered project. It's bringing people together. Many of us in the community talk about these things. People need to feel that they're seen and that you can have a difference of opinion, but there has to be a healthy way to be able to speak about differences of opinion. What better way than conversation and food? So that's where the Pop-Up Conversation comes to life. This project will take place in everyday locations in our burg. And this is where participants can pause, they can reflect, they can hear what other people are thinking and saying, they can munch, they can mingle, they can do shared experiences and guided conversations connect. And the creative experience with the postcard will be, what did you get from this? Not everybody's comfortable with writing. Some people are. I am a writer. But some people really want to be able to convey through visual. And the visual narrative with the textual now becomes something that many of you, if not all of us, know as ABR, arts-based research. Something I've noticed, especially the last 2 years, is we have a lot of information circulating in Fitchburg, but we don't have a lot of updated information. We need research. And I think that this is one of the ways to do it. I won't be doing it all on my own. I don't want to do it all on my own, but I think having a way to be able to step into research and having it fun while connecting with community is hopefully a healthy way to do that. GOE, my glasses partner, stands for Growth, Overcome, and Empower. I was like, how do I put all of this in a 250 character spot? It's kind of hard. Some of you know that I've had some interesting partnerships and collaborations in Fitchburg. One of those is Walgreens. And we'll get to that because that was a question too. GOE started with a conversation with one of the managers and was like, how do we grow together? How do we overcome stigma and bias together? How do we do this? That's the birth of GOE. Since 2015, we've gotten approval from our governor, well, the governor at the time, but this governor has been very supportive of calling this a national day. The national day has been approved the first Sunday of a full weekend in October, thus Go Day. So the Go project is we're going to be able to show what do we learn from these public conversations and the subsequent postcards that weekend. So what the council will have is deliverable information that you can use that will also be published in our city. So talked about briefly the role of postcards. How is this a humanities? So outlined everything here. Okay, so humanities focuses on human values, culture, language, and shared experiences. By hosting community conversations, the project is encouraging dialogue around the cultural narrative of rest and wellness. So many people are like, oh, I'm so busy and I'm so tired. And they act like this is, and me too, I've done this too until recently, that is a badge of honor to be busy. It isn't. We're tired and we're broken in so many ways. How do we help break that stigma? These gatherings are drawing on humanities traditions, discussion, reflection, critical thinking to examine cultural norms, shaping behavior and public spaces. And this is out of public spaces as well as in. How are people internalizing the information and what are they doing with said information? They provide a venue for participants to challenge existing ideas and stakeholders. We are not trying to shame people. That is not what this is about. It's, hey, you're thinking this. Is there a different way to think about it? Can you see how other people are thinking? Oh, would you like something to eat? Let's get together. So that's what this is. Any questions about this?
I have a comment. I don't know if this is the right time.
Go for it, glasses man.
I love all you're talking about, I guess, and I'm not taking issue with anything else, but you cover a lot of territory. I'm seeking a focus, name or
Got you.
an event, maybe a brand essentially, so people could say, oh, they go on social media and say, oh, there's a conversation happening at Paupers tonight, or there's a postcard conversation happening at Garrett's or whatever. It needs a stamp to kind of, an icon to give it something that people can grab a hold of.
Understand.
Ideally, it would refer to mental health or one of the GOE components.
Sure.
That's my way sort of
And I thank you. I mean,
I think focus.
so one of the questions on the application was, how are you going to disseminate this information? How are you going to market this? It will be public conversation, rest. Rest is that focus. And how do you take a break? What is taking a break look like? Come eat with us. We're going to work on the verbiage, but really rest is the focus.
Rest.
Yes, public conversation.
Refers to rest.
One of the things, and unless anybody has any other questions, I'll go to the other application, that I was trying to fit in. There's a thread. And with the applications that I've been submitting, even from the last few years, it's going to be mental health, it's going to be trauma recovery, and how do we have art included in these things? And I knew that eventually I'd graduate. May is when I graduate, and it's, well, how do we have Fitchburg as one of the places where we are publishing research? And we are not looked at as, so many people look at Fitchburg as negative. And I'm like, I think this place is beautiful. Does it have its blemishes? Yes. But it also has a lot of beauty here. One of the things I noticed, especially the last 2 years, is in terms of research, again, that we're lacking. And it doesn't have to be that. So how can we be in the forefront of that? I think that we can. And there are a lot of people here, academically inclined and community inclined, that are about this. So how do we gather together and be able to take our collective awesomeness and focus this on research? So the thread for me is, all right, how about we're building, or I'm building off of the projects that we've gotten approved before and focusing and putting this into research. Hopefully that gives a little more insight into.
Now I do have a question. Sure. What format do the postcards take? Is that something you'll be distributing, or participants will do in real time at one of these events for the
Yes.
postcard?
So the postcards really was like, all right, art. I had a conversation with someone in at the art museum, and they're like, oh, so this art stuff is just a pastime. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to look at you horribly, but I am. That's a terrible statement, but I get it, because not everybody has an expansive view of art. So we're talking about architecture, and then I promise this matters. We're talking about food. And I'm like, well, did you ever think about recipes and recipes being art? He said, well, I never thought about that. Okay, so maybe let's not truncate art as it only being specifically aesthetic. So then he was like, oh, okay, well, you mean like a book can be art? A book is absolutely art. I'm biased, I'm a writer, but the covering is art. And then I said, well, the book was a pamphlet. Well, this pamphlet is art. He's like, yeah, I can see that. That's how it started kind of germinating. Like, well, the pamphlet can be art. What can we do that's small, that can be handed out at events, that is safe enough to be able to package, but also it gives people hopefully an empower. Like, I've had so many people say, I'm not an artist. And well, Van Gogh didn't even know that Van Gogh was Van Gogh, but Van Gogh was always Van Gogh. So how do we know that you're not an artist? How do we define art? So how about we translate, breaking through those barriers and those paradigms? And here's a postcard. What do you think about this event? What did you learn? Anything stick out? They can actually now either write it or be able to place what they learned onto that. And now we're having contact with them even after they've left. They have left a part of data. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see you have a line item for postcard production, so that's something you bring to these conversations.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about, again, Fitchburg and research. So I'm thinking about the types of journals that are out there, and especially placemaking. Many of us are probably familiar with the type of placemaking grants. They are awesome in terms of resources, but this is a way I think that it can offer us as a city our creative diversity and including that in research and being able to help other people as well as help us. So I'm thinking in those ways.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like all the research opens up for more opportunity to apply for grants. I'm totally with you. This is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lily, you have a question?
Yes. I think that for me, at least with your explanation right now, like it's very clear to see like where these projects like fall in like even a greater vision that you have of like how to bring cultural and humanities like as an intersection of many topics and disciplines, and how you have like the objective of how to bring these like to the public and also like the policy makers. So that part for me, at least, like it's clear, and I can see that now across the projects. I think that one of the things that raised like a little bit of question last time, that's where I would like if you can make more emphasis in what we are going to talk next, is that like two of the projects seems to be like part of an organization, and two seem to be like personal.
Yes.
And I know, and more with your explanation, like why is that? Of course, there's going to be an intersection, and it's very clear. And I think that my personal opinions about like the contribution that it's going to give to Fitchburg do not translate if the projects are going to be approved or not.
Sure.
Like, this is basically like. This is different, right? Like the bullets that we have to go through, right?
Absolutely.
But I just want to emphasize that I think that there's so much value in all of your projects. So if you can just specify where do you see more, not this intersection, but like the difference or like the difference across each of the projects, if that makes sense.
Sure. So I did break down the projects so that I can respond, especially towards what I heard on FAT, the reporting. One of the first pieces I heard was there seems to be a difference between this nonprofit and then the individual. That is on purpose. I have, again, been in social services and mental health for over 20 years. And how I came into any of this was people acting like I had experience, but the credential was missing. Why that's relevant is because my intersectionality is I'm a researcher, I'm an artist, I'm an educator, and I'm a nonprofit director. So how do I bring my full self to all of these projects? Can I bring my full self with all of these to the project? Yes, but I do think it has to be segmented. So there are two projects that are just like very specifically under my care initiative, community arts, research, and education. There are two projects that are individual. One is as a researcher specifically, and that's the break story and the martial arts breaking. And I'll go into that in a moment. And then the other is, I believe it's the translation project. So I can't take myself out of being a researcher. I can't take myself out of being an educator. I can't take myself out as an artist. I think too many people do that. And I think, quite frankly, that can be a problem. So I can't do that fully with everything, but I can do that in piecemeal. I can do that in portions and then come together at the end and bring everything together, kind of like a stew. But before we have the stew all together, kind of have to have the protein and the veggies and everything is segmented, and then you bring everything together. So that's how I'm looking at this. Is that bringing you more clarity?
Yes, also maybe when you talk about like the other projects that you have planned, like how to respond, like just if you can be quite emphatic in like what's the differences that you find.
Absolutely. I'm ready to do that. I just want to go back to something that I think, well, different members, I think, yeah, you were there and Timur was there. I was approved for a couple of projects last year, the year before, and where those projects were fulfilled and still doing some of those projects they'll show up in some of the work now. For instance, I was working on creating a curriculum for a residency program. So not only do we have now a curriculum for an arts residency program, narrative residency program, we have cultural narrativists in residencies. And I mean, all of these now have pedagogy that's connected to it. It's now like, okay, how do we go and get funding? So then we can work with Nick Capasso and Fitchburg Art Museum and other art and cultural entities. So really and truly for me, it's yay, thank you all for believing in me in these projects, but this is not where it ends. It doesn't just end with it happening just that year. These are going to continue, but as we all know, funding and having the capabilities and the social capital, these are things that are important. So now going on to the other projects. The one I'm going to go to is 104448, breaking through the neural arts of healing. And
Number 25.
okay. So the medium that I applied under is science, as we all know, art, science, and humanities. So the questions that I found on FAT on the recording has been, what is the difference or what is different about this project? There was verbiage about that it was being vague. Small target audience, about trauma, about resilience, 100 people. It was noted that that might be too small. Stigma was mentioned. So how this project differs from the postcards project and the travel arts gallery, which that one seemed like everybody was cool and the book, I didn't say too many words there. Well, this is projected to be science. So that in and of itself, and I'll go into why I'm calling this science. So with the postcards project, it's rooted in humanities using creative mediums, the postcards and conversation, to explore cultural narratives of rest and well-being. It emphasizes collective meaning-making, language, cultural traditions, and community dialogue. The Travel Arts Gallery project centers on the creation and presentation of artworks itself. It showcases various artistic disciplines and cultural expressions through the aesthetic. Its primary modality is artistic display and interpretation. Now, this project, Breaking Through Neural Arts is a burgeoning field that's connecting neuroscience and art. It differentiates itself by integrating neuroscience principles with artistic practices, specifically martial arts breaking. Now, I meant to bring my boards, but it's too wet and I can't do that. But for those who don't know, I am a third-degree black belt, I'm an instructor, and I am a championship breaker. I just tried this at a couple of tournaments using storytelling and breaking, and I was surprised that it was connecting with the audience so well. That was how I started thinking about using art onto the boards and being able to tell a story while breaking those boards.
What is breaking?
Oh, thank you, glasses friend. So for those who don't know, martial arts often, but not all martial arts styles, have similar training domains. These training domains are usually sparring, they are forms, they are breaking, and there's self-defense. So breaking itself is being able to work on materials such as wood, it can be concrete, it can be any affixed material that you are training to break.
Literally, okay.
Yes. So I have used this when I was working in social services to help people go through trauma, specifically women who've gone through trauma. Often, though not always, but often enough, they have lost their voice and they've disconnected from themselves. Through a series of workshops, it's having them write on the boards, it's having, hey, what does your best healed self look like? And having them kind of visualize what that is, having them break out of, hey, this is who I used to be, but I no longer have to be affixed to these traumas. And then literally, there will be a board and break it. So I teach them how to do that. With this project, it's going to be a bit different because it's not been done before. I have looked, my doctoral committee has looked, librarians have helped me look. There is, to date, nothing in research that has connected martial arts breaking and art as a research modality. And connecting that with healing from trauma, it does not exist. So essentially, you all will be innovating with me. So it differentiates itself by integrating neuroscience principles, and I'll briefly go there, with artistic practice, specifically martial arts breaking, to address trauma and mental health. So rather than simply presenting culture and anything that's related to it, what we're doing with this is connecting scientific tools such as facial expression analysis, and I think that's in the application, like what that would mean. So facial expression analysis.
Are you still talking about the breakthrough?
Yeah. Okay. To generate data. So briefly, what will this look like? I'm telling the story, I'm breaking the story for the board. There will be, I hope, the program that's embedded into a laptop. It will be taking the facial expressions and seeing, well, what is resonating with the community. I then, because I believe truly you need to protect community, I will be taking the pictures from the community and I'll be turning those into art itself, caricatures, cartoons, something like that. So then it's taking the image and keeping the image as much as possible, but it's distorting the image so then people have safe distance to be able to feel what you need to feel and not think that, well, we're trying to take advantage of that feeling. This is science. Okay, so why this project is science and not just humanities and art. The project goes beyond creating or interpreting art. It actively is applying neuroscientific and psychological concepts to understand how participants respond emotionally and physically to structured interventions. And this is embedded in how do we help people be more empathetic with stories. By using Affectiva, which is a program, which is why I'm applying for this, because these programs are quite expensive. For facial expression analysis, there's also Tunify to visualize emotional data. The project produces measurable evidence to emotional shifts and engagement. This is data-driven and the components align with scientific inquiry. So that is how it's science. And it's not specific to being art. There's an argument, but I can always argue that something's art, but it is more science. Are there any other questions about this project? I can talk about the vagueness and why I did that. I just want to take up all your time.
I just want to say thank you for articulating all of that. And I think it is crucial for mental health to also have structured coping mechanisms. And I like everything that you intertwine in that. I think it is just so vital. I too have worked in human services for like 30 years. And so I see the importance of overlap between not just science, but in getting this information and building on it. Yeah. But also what it can do to heal a community. It's just so vital and needed.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Some of you know, I put this on for Facebook a few years ago. I was at Market Basket on, not John Fitch, that one scares me. Market Basket on Main Street.
Water Street.
Thank you. I was like, that's not it. Thank you. And a person was hit with a shopping cart. And I saw it, and you know what happens, it's crowded, all the things. And they blew up at the person who hit them with the shopping cart. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna get out of here. As I was leaving, the person who was hit with the shopping cart, I saw them coming back with a bat. And I was like, sir, are you seriously going to go and hit that person? Which wasn't wise, because I mean, really, they could have hit me. I recognize that now. But I was just like, are you seriously going to do that? And he was like, people need to learn. I'm like, but sir, you're going to jail today. Like, you're going to learn. And I saw him go back, and it was just like, trauma is all around us, and we need actual solutions. We cannot keep doing the same things that we've been doing and calling it innovative, because it's not. That is the textbook definition of insanity. The problem is the people who often are well-meaning, they see mental health as it has to look like this. And that's the problem. We need to be able to break the paradigms and do it in a safe way and not, again, shame people. But we need to have tables where we're actually having conversations about mental health and the interconnectedness that it is in our community. You don't need to go to a clinician's office all the time in order to address mental health. We need to be able to break that down. So this is a part of my life role, and including vitamin, because art is the so. Are there any other questions? I can go to the other application if you like.
If you can be brief and kind of articulate about it, just because we have had like 90 proposals, and if we took this time with everybody, we would be here till June. So, I mean, I love all the projects that you're doing. I just want to like know as articulately as you can, like what rest and translation is and how it's different from the other three.
Well, that's the last one I was going to, so let's do it. So that is 104638. I know you have a different number.
No, two.
We have that number too.
Okay, so there is a book that I found out from Dr. William Cortesian. He is a professor at Fitchburg State University, who is also on this rest journey with me. We were discussing about rest and it being very hard for us culturally, because culturally, especially within our specific cultures, if you're resting, you're being lazy. I've started having conversations with others of my friends, Italian and Irish, and it was very interesting that they also had similar connectors to rest. Like, I can't rest, I need to work.
It's America.
You're right.
Get busy.
And get busy more and more dues, and until you drop dead and like, oh, okay, that's not what we're going to do here. So we have been looking for research that will help us in terms of it being in communities. He came across this book by Domenico de Massi, Ocio Creativo. It is in Portuguese. We cannot find an English translation of this book, and it is supposed to be a seminal work about rest and communities and all the things. So the rest in translation is translating this book. The connector within this humanities project is I have budgeted for 3 research assistants. I want 3 out of the 4 to be from Fitchburg. I was at an event at June, and we had people who were there actually, they were talking about how people come to Fitchburg and they do research and they leave. And that's a problem. We need to be able to employ and connect with people in our city, and they need to be a part of the research that they choose. So the rest in translation is we're going to translate this book. Ideally, I would like to have 1 person who's high school, 2 from the university, and then 1 who's global. And that's as much brevity as I can give you.
Yes, if there appears that like there are 1,000 people served, like what would be the final product? Like, are people gonna get the translation?
Yes.
Or part of the workshop? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm applying for a certain amount here, but I am going after other funding because we want to be able to disseminate the information and have it available to as many people, audio as well as other forms.
Okay.
And then we also want, this is something that we're working on with BAM, Fitchburg Art Museum, and they have been wonderful. How can we get the information out and be able to have a workshop that's connected to that? So it's still connected to REST, but it's a bit different from the REST projects, but it's still under the auspice of REST.
I admire your very multidisciplinary background. And I applaud your efforts to have into 4 distinct proposals.
I'm gonna get it done.
I think, given the broad spectrum of stuff that they touch upon, I would be probably looking for a common denominator of public benefit and use that as my filter to sort of rank them. And I hope this is not an unfair question to ask you where you might rank them in terms of public benefit for the community as something, as a means to prioritize them if you had to. Again, I hope that's not
No,
a fair way to.
no. Unfair is going up to somebody's back. This is not.
Maybe if you had to throw one out or throw one at the top of your list, you have a pet one that you really see as your favorite.
I was gonna have like 6 applications, so I mean, to me, I think that, you know.
Sure.
If I had to choose 2, it would be the science and maybe the pop-up conversation. And why that is because I think I'm going after additional funding. Not that I'm poo-pooing on this, oh my gosh, no. We have 5 restaurants in Fitchburg, 2 in Lunenburg, and 4 in Leominster who are excited about us having pop-up conversations and this be connected to mental health. But it wasn't, I thought I was gonna have to convince, and they were like, we see what you wanna do, let's do it. So I feel like follow that wave. So that's one. And then the neuroscience one, because who would think about neuroscience and mental health and all that in this way? It scares me, which is another reason, but I do think they're scary. So.
I kind of mentally already put the postcard ones high on my list as well, especially if it could be used as, if the data coming from the participants really could be captured. And that was totally part of the effort to sell it. You know, you can contribute and have a voice here. That'd be cool.
I appreciate that. Increasingly, by trade, but my temperament, I'm a researcher. I pull things apart. I'm interested in understanding why things are, all the things. So I'm bringing that. And I think that's the public benefit. It's being able to engage with community while also being able to apply that to data. So then communities after us have that. So
Thanks so much for taking the time to explain on the projects more clearly.
thank you for having me. You all, I hope you know the work that you're doing is critical. I know that we don't get told this often, but what you're doing, it absolutely matters. So thank you. Really and truly matters. And yeah, I'm biased. I did some of this before, but you're doing more. Like in my day, we didn't have that. So really, truly, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to leave you now and go back out.
All right, be safe out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
Oh, and happy holidays, everybody.
You too.
Thank you. There were a couple of other applications that I want to get to before we jump into applications on 61. We had a question on application 58 with regard to a signed agreement with the Gables. I did receive that, and it is on file. So this application, I think we voted it forward, didn't we? Already?
Yes, we tabled it until we found out if they had a letter of support.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're gonna vote on it.
They had
tonight.
said they had one, but
Okay,
then we
I just want
have
to
it in
check,
the.
because I haven't looked at my sheet yet. Yeah. To where we are, oh yeah, we were holding it. Right, Mike, you have the motion on the table for that, you withdrew it. See here, okay. So entertain a motion. This is for application FY 25 LCC 85745. It's chapter 15 of the book. Is there a motion on the table?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I have a motion from Sharon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Jen. Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Were you in favor, too? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
That was number 58.
That was
Yep.
number 58.
Thanks.
No, we don't need to. 30 seconds.
Yes, of course. The next one would be application number 60, which was the New Slater Theater Guild. We did approve that funding already, but there was inquiry about the amount spent for that project. I believe, Sherry, you got that question.
Yeah, since it was an event that had already happened, I asked if they had a deficit and what that was like.
So they did end up spending, we did get the expense report from them, which is all we asked for as a council. And they had expended $3,655.62, which is about $290 more than what they had in the budget that they had planned. So just want to let the councilors know about that.
Yeah.
And Mike, I'm sorry, I'm going to repeat this just because you should know this as well.
Thanks.
We had, Sharon had an open question with New Players Theater Guild on their James and the Giant Peach project that had previously happened. And I heard back from the organizers there, and they have provided us with their expense report, which came to $3,655.62, which is an increase over the budget that they had applied for within their application for us this year. Okay. All right, we're down to the last 23 grants, folks, and we're just going to try to see if we can get ourselves back into our rhythm, and we'll get started on it right now. Sherry, you ready to go with the sheet and everything? Awesome. So,
Hold on a second. Let me just keep it. Oh, give me a second.
yeah,
Just.
no problem. And we're going to make a few jumps because we have some we've already approved or we've already conducted votes on. So we'll be making 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 jumps in the book as we go along with a few that are together. Okay, the first application for the remaining year will be FY25 LCC 95861. This is number 61 in your vote. Is there a motion on the table to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Mike. Is there a second?
Tamar.
Second from Tamar. Anyone speaking to the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next application is 62. Application number FY25 LCC 104665. This is for the North County Land Trust. This is project titled Movie Night for Planet Earth. So a motion to accept. A motion to accept from Tamar. Any second?
I'll second.
Second from Sharon. Anyone speaking to the motion? Mike.
It's half a while, but
Willing Sharon.
does he, is that a he or she? Are they a Fitchburg resident? Is it sufficient that it's happening at Applewold? I haven't seen the doc.
It didn't sound like it was a definite. It just sounded probable.
So I didn't see
I guess-
evidence of that.
I'm in support of it, but I was just want to confirm that it's sufficient that it's a Applewold and ask if Rion is a Fitchburg resident. Somebody knows.
Do not know. Lily?
It was the same, that I didn't see a letter of support to that address from the minister.
Okay. And Sharon?
Yeah, so they put in a thing about their other funding and that they had applied for a festivals and projects grant through Mass Cultural Council, and that they also had another, they might need to decline it if they got an operating support grant. And they said they should know sometime in November, and now it's December. So I'd be curious to know if they've gotten either of those other fundings and which one they had gotten. Because this was kind of a big project. And also it seemed like they had this hiking thing that they wanted to do where they would talk about the natural local ecology, which I think is great, but that they didn't have a specific film that they were going to show. They actually still researching that. So I don't know, it feels like it isn't necessarily fully formed, but I would like to know what their other funding sources are. That's right.
Thank you, Tamara.
I was just gonna say it's organizations and there's a number of members and they have a board. So I don't know that any of the members, like this Ryan, Flynn, Rossi, whether they live here or not, but the land that they're entrusted with is bordering us. It's parts of it are in Ashburnham. So I just want to make that comment that it's local land.
Doesn't that North County Land Trust manage Crocker Reservation?
There's some of Fitchburg in the entrance for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else speaking of the motion? Okay, I will just say this in response to Shara's commentary that we're at a point in time where requesting additional information is not feasible. And so we need to vote on the project based off of its merits as written. And the council is certainly welcome to vote any way that we wish. Anything more I wanted to say on that? I can speak quite highly of North County Land Trust, projects that they have done for us in the city of Fitchburg in the past. They have been great partners with a lot of conservation activity that happens in the city of Fitchburg. And I am personally in support of this project. So with that, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next project is number 63, application number FY25 LCC 97326. This is the North Worcester County Symphony Orchestra and School of Music for the Global Holiday Harmony Project. And there is a typo on this application. It is occurring on December 7th, 2024. So it has occurred, did occur over the weekend. I can confirm that it did happen. It was not present, but I know people who were.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
From Mike, second from Jen. And speaking of the motion. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor. 1 opposed, motion carries. Moving on to application number 64. This is the FY25 LCC 88382 for Operation and Service and a project titled 9/11 Never Forget Mobile Exhibit.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Mike. Second?
Second.
Second from Dan. Anyone speaking for the motion? Yes, Sheriff.
I think this is a really cool project, but it is someone who I have no idea if they're connected to Fitchburg in any way.
Yeah.
There, even though they mention the airport, there's absolutely no letter of support. And I feel like that is not meeting with our requirements.
Yeah, I had concerns about that as well. It's like it sounds like a very big project, and I would have liked to see letters of support from the airport that they'd be even willing to. I'm sure they would be, but it's just I just don't know what business is like at the airport, But I mean,
Anyone else? Yes, Lori?
Yeah, so I don't know if I am confused, but it's an organization applying, right? That is Operation Service Inc. And actually the address is in Fitchburg. So I don't know the person that is applying, but I think that if I want to follow the coherence with other applications, the address that they are providing does seem to be in Fitchburg.
The business or the airport?
but
Yeah,
here operation, it says like a legal name is Operation Service Inc.
In Fitchburg.
if
Yes.
you Google it, it doesn't really come up. Right.
Oh, I see, Dan Terrace, yeah, it's on the,
Yeah.
okay, well, it changes that.
Anyone else speaking to the motion? I'll just say, just to clarify questions for folks, Operation Service has been around for a number of years.
Okay.
They are based in Fitchburg. They're currently, they have a program right now where they give out free trees to veterans.
Okay, cool.
Out of the College Garden Center. And also, I think somewhere in Governance as well. It's a pretty large organization. And I believe I've seen advertising. I can't pinpoint my point of reference on this, but I do know that I have seen advertising already for the 9/11.
So it's all, it sounds like it's the big of that.
So I'm in support of this. The council members are certainly welcome to join me on it if they wish. Anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to jump to 67. We've already done 65 and 66. So 67, this is branch number FY25 LCC 101723. This is for Maria Pappas and her project titled Mindful Creations, Crafting Calm and Focus for Kids.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Jen? Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Cheryl.
This may just be the way that they filled out the application, but it's confusing because when it asked about the cost for participation of attendees, it says $215 per person, but then it also talks about charging them. I think what they mean is that's what it costs, but that's what the grant is funding.
Yeah.
And that it would be free to those people, but it doesn't actually say that in the application. So, I don't know. I just, it seems like a good thing. And then again, is this that same wellness center that we had several other applications for, like the one that is behind like Slattery's?
It is, I do know,
Colleen.
that Maria works out of that facility, but she's applying for this individually. You can say,
Yeah,
Yeah, that address is,
to say where.
it's the same building.
yes, it says that it's at the Cully Wellness Center.
Oh, okay, sorry, it is there.
I'm just asking if that was that place, that's all.
Yes.
And it'd be the first 16 that sign up, and that's it. More people serve, 16 people, that's capped at that.
That definitely is what it looks like, because I think there's only so many that they can serve out in one.
And
Workshop.
we approved the other ones. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So if she had a full house, our grant funds would cover $93.75 of the cost per attendee. Anyone else speaking to the motion? I don't think I saw any other hands go up. Did you put your hand?
it was something similar to what they.
Okay, okay. Great. So I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? 2, 5 to 2, it passes. Next, we're going to jump 3 more. We're going to go to application number 7.
Okay, got it. Number 70, I don't know.
Yeah, we should already have those for 68. Okay. This is for application number FY25 LCC 99126. Jennifer Powell, for project titled Outdoor Sculpture, titled You Are Here. So motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
The motion from Mike, second. Second from Dan. Anyone speaking in the motion? Yes, Sharon.
Well, first off, there's no letter of support, and they're from Wilbraham, not local at all. I know that their plan is to do this in every town in Massachusetts, and that they've applied to every one of the towns. But I think it's a huge lift. I think the "You Are Here" sign is very static. I know that people in the city we've been talking for years about doing some kind of sculpture like the bears or the dogs in Westminster, or, like where we have some kind of fiberglass sculpture that everybody paints and that we have a bunch of them around town. But I think what they're talking about is just very static and not very creative or artistic, in my opinion. And also it's like a 2-year project that they're, not all of it is going to happen in the first year. So giving funding that may not get utilized until 2026 seems iffy to me too.
Anyone else speaking in the motion? I'll also just state that there is no letter of support from our town applicant. Being an unknown to us, I'm not in favor of voting for this for that reason. This is a project, a quite visible project within the city, and there doesn't seem to be any arrangements made with anyone within the city to execute on this. And I would think that would be one of the more important things that we would need to understand before we could provide funding. We're being asked to fully fund it. And so there's even a statement here, if we aren't able to fully fund, that council would be requested to make a difference and provide additional support needed. So I just think that it's not a function of the council to do that at the moment. And I do not have support for this plan. Anyone have anything else to say on this grant? Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Okay, this motion fails. After this 70, we're going to move to 72. 71 should already be voted on, right?
Yep.
Cheryl?
Yep. Correct.
72 is application number FY25 LCC 95593. This organization called Levant Chalet, Incorporated, I don't remember how to say it, for the Finnish folk dance in and around Fitchburg.
I make a motion for this one.
I have a motion from Sharon, second from Mike. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Sharon.
I know that they applied for this last year. I don't remember if we were able to fund them or not, but I know that it's very expensive to make these costumes, that they're trying to be really authentic. They're making them themselves, so they're saving money. I think it's a really cool thing, and if we can support it in any way, I think that would be great.
Thank you, Lily.
Just a question, because here it says that it will take place winter 2024 or spring 2025, just to know if it was in winter 2024 and if it did happen. That's a good question.
I don't have familiarity with that, whether it's occurred.
I don't think it's specifically an event. It's about making these costumes. So they're looking for the funding to buy the materials to make the costumes, and they do a lot of performances over the year. The applicant is with Silo Park. That address is Silo Park, which is our Finnish organization there, and they do a lot of events during the course of the year. They have Finnish dance days and other things. They do a monthly Finnish breakfast, and there's a number of other things, but I don't need to berate that. They're pretty active in the community, and they do value the ethnicity and try to promote it and raise awareness of it. And
So hopefully that covers it. Was Mike, Lily, you said something, that was your. You were
My
talking,
question
right?
was if it was for winter 2024.
Right, okay, so you're next, so
Yes.
you're all set, so Mike, you're next.
Just noting that it sounded like it was very well attended.
Yeah, that's nice.
They talk about it on the next to last page.
Yeah, these are from 2023, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Next is grant number 73 in the book, FY 25 LCC 92307. This is the St. Bernard's Elementary School for the project titled The Magic School Bus Lost in the Solar System.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Sharon.
I'm just, it looks like you just, they, in your budget, they put 1,200 for travel expenses and 1,200 for other. And I don't know what that other is unless it's, because it seems like all of this is just paying to rent a bus to get, and to get kids to this show in Worcester.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I would want clarity on that. I do think it's like it's eligible, but I just, their budget is not really clear.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Is this, it sounds like it only supports students of St. Bernard's.
No.
No?
When you, I have the same question, but like, when you check the question, how does the proposed project provide benefit? They say this program is open to all schools who wish to attend on a first come basis. So, because I have the same question, but
I think I'm going to do that.
I mean, that I don't know, but it's
And
open to schools.
is St. Bernard's doing the performance in Worcester, or
It sounds like you're just going to do it.
are they just trying to provide the transportation? I feel like I don't understand what they're asking for.
Anyone else with the motion before I speak? Okay. My interpretation of this is that it is for the travel and transportation as we get to the show. And I do see that they are making it open and available to all schools. I don't know that our application requires them to explain how they're doing it. But the fact that they say they're doing it is really not for me as a counselor to accept. And the vagueness of the other, we can as a council vote to require the funds that we do provide to them when we go towards that transportation cost, so that our funds are not being used for what we don't know. Anyone else speaking the motion? Okay, all in favor? 4 opposed. 3 motion carries. Now we're going to skip over one more. Share 74 should already be approved. All right,
It's a third, yes. That's how you do it.
75 is grant number FY 25 LCP 99388. I want to speak first on this. This is for Jill Strait, who has a project titled 2 painted utility boxes. I want to point out, I may have other things to say about it, but I want to point out up front with the enrollment on the public, is that I am mentioned here as a collaborator, and I am not a collaborator on it, nor is the mayor of the city of Fitchburg. The two of us went to meet the grantee who expressed an interest, and we merely encouraged her to apply. So I just wanted to put that out there. And
A little bit of a leap.
well, I'll also add that I think that this is a fantastic project. It is something that the council had approved through a different grantee in 2017. And it was unable to be executed because there was inability to get permission to do so. We have been able to confirm that should this be approved by the cultural council to move forward, that the city is in support. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Lily.
Just at the address that is listed in the register.
We didn't have a motion yet.
Oh, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Yes, sir.
This is the thing.
A second from Mike.
Second from Mike. Right. Thank you for keeping me honest. Anyone speaking to the motion? I think, did you have the floor?
Yes, that the address is Lemonster, but we don't have a letter of support to someone in Fitchburg.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Anyone else speaking to the motion? Yeah.
I will say the same. I think this is a great project. I know the artist, she is really good, but there's no letter of support and there's no location yet. And since that was the thing that kept it from happening in 2017, I think we really can't approve it at this point.
Yeah.
I would encourage her to try again next year.
Anyone else speaking to the motion? I'll just say pretty much the same as Shara on this, that while I do love the project and I had previously supported it under a different grantee several years ago, I was disappointed that there was no letter of support provided in commitment on location because that is really what would hinge was to be accepted, I think. Well, and yes, I would also encourage this application to come back at us again next year and with all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and I think it's time to be successful. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion failed. Next application is number 76. It is FY25 LCC 91160. This is for Kathy Swanty for the project titled Swan Boat Plus 2025 projects.
Motion to approve.
Second. Was that you, second, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, anyone speaking to the motion? Okay, all those in favor? That's unanimous, thank you. Moving on to grant number 77. Application number FY25 LCC 104706. This is the Massachusetts Martin Luther King Coalition for a project titled 2025 Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Celebration.
I make a motion.
Motion from Sharon. Was that a second from Dan? Or was that
Mike.
Yes, Mike. Okay. Okay, anyone speaking to the motion?
Yay.
Yes, Sharon.
That was like, yay.
Anyone else? Yes, Lily.
Yes, that the address seems to be in Clinton, Massachusetts. And the proposed place is in the Fitchburg Senior Center, but there isn't a letter of support from either a resident or a lady.
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
I know that a lot of the people that are involved with this are in Fitchburg, including, and they mentioned the Historical Society, the public schools, the Abolitionist Park Board, the Big Pyramids. I think they are pretty well centered in Fitchburg.
We have to fix that next year with some kind of question. I know we talked about that, but I guess we'll
Anyone else speaking to the motion? I want to add to this too that the Massachusetts Martin Luther King Coalition does a number of events in Fitchburg every year. And in fact, they provided evidence of that with their event last year, which is in their application. This is in our senior center with our mayor attendance and our state representative or U.S. representative. So I just wanted to put that out there so folks were aware that I believe that while we didn't specify, as you had mentioned, Dan, that we didn't, maybe next year we have to be a bit more specific as to how we handle that line item about your connection to Fitchburg. But in this particular case, I'm ready to call a vote unless others have things to say. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we have 6.
6-1.
Next one is 78. This is for FY25 LCC 100340. This is Stratton Players for their performance of Stratton Players 2025. This is to fund the season, I think. Oh, no, they're looking to have their sound system upgraded. Maybe among other things here. Is there a motion on the table?
Yes.
I have a motion from Tamar. Second?
I'll second.
Second from Sharon. Okay, anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Lily.
Yeah, that if I am understanding correctly, these projects is that they are going to improve like their sound system, right?
Yes.
And yes, I just have a hard time like seeing how this project fits with like the other ones that we're proposing, because I don't seem to see like a number of events or something like that, like something that is like the outcome or the deliverable, if that makes sense. So from this project I was reading, I have a hard time finding that.
Sure, maybe I can explain. The Mass Cultural Council in recent years has started to allow local country councils to fund facility-related upgrades. One of the ones we've done in the past was, I believe, we donated funds to help the New Players Theater Guild get their elevator. So we had to get some funds for that. And yeah, so that's really all I wanted to say on that. It meets the criteria from my perspective and my understanding of what is allowed by our guidelines. And I do know that Guild Hall is a new space for them, which we just moved into this year, and there's some new technical upgrades there. Anyone else speaking to the motion? Okay, all those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Next, we're going to skip 79. Registered on that one. Application 80. This is for Roger Pinknell. Project titled Pete Seeger to Peter, Paul, and Mary 60s Folk Revival. This is going to be a constant theater center. Is there a motion on the table?
Motion to approve.
I saw Tamar's motion.
Yeah, we did.
Is there a second? Second from Dan.
Okay, we're good.
Do you have what you need, Lily, on that last application?
Yes, I would
Okay.
just wonder.
Okay, just want to be sure you're all set. Anyone speaking to the motion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, next application is 81. Application number FY25 LCC 101672. This is for Eddie Troxler for his Music for Youth program. The motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
A motion from Shara, a second from Mike. Anyone speaking to the motion? All those in favor? Nice. Next application is number 82, application number FY25 LCC 101672. I'm sorry, restate. Application number FY25 LCC 103231. This is also a Troxler for his jazz performances to be held in the year 2025 in various locations. Is there a motion to approve? Got a motion from Tamar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes,
I
Sharon.
would just say that Eddie has been doing these performances around town forever, and it's really nice in restaurants and clubs and stuff. And yeah, I think he just deserves to be supported in that.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking to the motion? Okay, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next application, number 83, grant number FY25 LCC 91772. This is the Virginia Coastal Healing Garden. The project titled Artistic Pathways, Expressive Therapies for Cancer Support. This is a recurring application to the council, if you're not familiar with it. Is there a motion on the table? Motion from Tamar? Second, Mike. Anyone speaking to the motion? Tamar?
Yeah, we've had this application every year. It's always a little bit tricky depending on who of us is here. It's a wonderful facility. It's not in town, but residents from any town can go. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, and residents from Fitchburg to go there.
I like the virtual aspect of it. For people that might not be feeling well to leave their house. That's something probably really special. And I'm glad this is very different than the other grant we funded, so it's pretty nice. But I don't know if it's something specific for specific reasons.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else speaking the motion? Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Next application is 84. Application number FY25 LCC 87322 for John Waterman, project title Live Music Making History Live.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion from Cheryl. Is there a second? Second from Tamar. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Cheryl.
There's no firm date, no firm location. He's from out of town, and there's no letter of support.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion fails. Next application is 85. Application number FY25 LCC 101021. It's Winchendon Music Festival. And their project title is the Winchendon Music Festival. This is a recurring application, and for the record, the council has yet to support it. And is there a motion on the table? Motion to approve. I have a motion from Mike. Is there a second? Second from Tamar. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Sharon.
The reason we haven't supported it is that every year they put in this application, but there is no local connection to Fitchburg and no letter of support. All they really have to do is include Fitchburg in their audience, but they don't ever mention it. So I don't think we can fund it even if we want to.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking to the motion? Yes, Tamar.
Can we just say to the Winchendon, it's a wonderful thing that they're doing in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
If they could just, and they invite us every year, we would love to have a letter.
Yes, a letter of support, a letter of understanding as to do they take statistics, demographics, so they can tell us how many people they have from Fitchburg that go to the Winchendon Music Festival, because I'm sure there are. We do not have enough evidence here to authorize a vote in favor, in my opinion.
Or even if they hired some local artists and they,
Yes.
like these artists for here.
Yes, exactly. Okay, anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, next application is 86. This is application number FY25 LCC 93673. Dennis Wise, the project title for Theft of Dignity, Fitchburg Free Public Presentation. The motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion from Sharon, second from Tamar. Thank you. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Lily.
Yes, that is from out of town, and like, this is a wonderful project that seems to benefit many people in camps like that. I topic that is needed, but it doesn't have a letter of support. It has a letter from the author, like telling us, like, thank you, but we don't have a letter of support.
Okay, anyone else speaking to the motion? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? The motion fails. Thank you. Moving on to application 37. This is FY25 LCC 103437 for the Worcester Chamber Music Society for their project title Worcester Chamber Music Society Alter Egos for free tickets for seniors and residents.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sharon. Anyone speaking to the motion?
Do we, sorry,
Yes,
do we typically fund this or? I
I
mean,
think this is the first time I've seen it. I'm not
it's-
you, Tim, are you ever seeing it?
Yeah, we've had them before. It's a little slightly different take on it, but we've had them before. There's a letter from the Fitchburg Art Museum too.
Yeah,
Okay.
They have come to us before.
it is. Was that, oh, okay.
The Chamber Music Society.
Okay, yeah, I guess my biggest concern is just the cost, but, because I know it's free for seniors, but for everyone else, it costs like that, like I said, it's what it is. $32 for everybody, but
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have to say, this, from my understanding of the proposal, it's not, the museum is not putting this on.
Yeah.
They're renting the space and they're doing a performance. They're, chamber music, like orchestra, like it's a lot of members. So
yeah,
for them to all get paid, it's reasonable for them to charge a fee. I don't
Yeah.
think that that's a reason not to fund it.
yeah.
Anyone else speaking in the motion? Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Moving on to application number 88. FY 25 LCC 100156. The Worcester Writers Collective for a project titled Worcester Writers Collective Writing Events through 2025. There a motion on the table to accept.
Motion to accept.
There's a motion from Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan. Anyone speaking to the motion? Yes, Sharon.
It's another situation of it not being local and no letter of support. They have not made any specific connection to Fitchburg, even though they say across Worcester County, or part of Worcester County, but it's very vague. And yeah, and no letter of support.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion fails. Next application is number 89. FY 25 LCC 104132. This is for Joseph Wright, Fitchburg resident, project titled Community Concerts with Central Mass Brass.
I make a motion.
I have a motion from Sharon,
Second.
second from Jen. Anyone speaking to the motion? I will just say I am familiar with Mr. Wright and all the music-related things he gets involved in. He plays with the band, orchestra. We have seen him perform in other venues as well. And he is definitely a dedicated resident of the city, really loves music, and I firmly believe this project will definitely take place as promised. Anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor? That's Mr. Thank you. And the last application, we're at the finish line, folks. This is number 90, FY 25 LCC 86980. This is Matt York for a project titled Holiday Concert, Matt York Songs and Stories.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan. Anyone speaking to the motion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Abstaining? Any opposed? So it's 7-1.
6-1. 6-1.
6-1. But the attendance doesn't change in 2 hours. Okay. So we've made it to the end. Congratulations.
Round word.
I'd say the most time-consuming work we've done. We will now move towards discussion. We've got about 25 minutes. I don't know if we'll have enough time to cover everything, but actually I know we won't because we have a number of individual votes. So we will have a meeting next week on the 16th. But I think we can take the rest of our time today to talk about how we fund our grants. The council does have its choice as to how it would like to fund grants. What I would like to do is to show or describe historically what we have done at the Cultural Council, and also to give Sarah an opportunity to propose an alternative that she has been working on. As I understand it, the other members of the council do not have their own suggestions for how we should fund. That doesn't preclude you from offering it at a later time before we jump into the votes, or even contributing to the discussion about what myself and Cheryl will be describing. So feel free to raise your hand and speak up, and you'll be recognized to contribute to the conversation. So I just want to something up on my screen. I'll be sharing. We may get to a point where I share this, but I just wanted to have something to reference in front of me. So historically, the Cultural Council, at least in the time that I have been on since 2016, the funding of grants, the primary goal that the council had was to try to fund as many grant applications, to have as many events occurring in the city of Fitchburg, so that we can grow the world of arts and culture within the city. And that was a mechanism that at the time through even today, and in my opinion, that I want to continue funding as many applications as we want. The council has the discretion if they want to throw all the money into one project. That is your discretion as a council to do that. And so I just kind of want to lay it out there that anything really goes. So what I'm describing here is what has been happening, what we've done in the past, and it seems to be working out okay. We come up with a cap, meaning the total, the highest amount of funds that we'll give any one application. And it's a bit of mathematical gymnastics is the best way I can describe it, to try to come up with what that number is. And basically we take all the approved applications and look at the amount of funds that they have requested from us. And we start, what I would do is, in this case, I'd probably start with a baseline of, say, $1,000 as the cap. And we would look to see if we fund all the applications for $1,000 or less in full, how much money is left. And we divide that money by the number of remaining applications that are above $1,000 in request, and that everybody gets that amount. So every year it varies. Last year it was $1,407. The year before that was, I can't remember, but it was I think 1,200 and something. The year before that, it may have been.
Like 1,600. No, we think.
What, did we go like 1,600? Like during COVID, it went really high. Because we didn't have as many applications, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that does, it goes to show that the more applications we have, the more we dilute the funds. And that's just by the design that we have been using all along. When I first started on the council, we had a cap of $1,000 for the number of applications, but we had probably half the number of applications in 2016 than what we have today, which is a testament to the work that we've been doing, and we've been attracting more arts activities to the city of Fitchburg. So I think that a lot of the work that we have been doing has really been paying off, so to speak, in growing the world of arts and culture. And I have one more thing to add. If you don't mind, if I could just finish my thought on this. Yeah. So one of the questions that comes up when funding this way is, well, what if there's some that need to be funded, should be funded more, some that we should fund less? What's built into this model is that we have the discretion to call out specific grants that we feel should be adjusted. And what we do is we would adjust to how we agree to adjust those grant applications. And we go through that mental gymnastics exercise again, and it just changes what that cap will be. based off of what we've added to some grants and removed from others. And so that's the option that we have available. And I'm going to stop there for questions. And Mike, I don't know if I maybe answered the question you wanted to ask, or you have another follow-up.
What's our amount? What are we getting from Massachusetts this year?
So our amount, we're getting $65,165. That's the funds that we have left over from prior grant seasons, that the grantees didn't use their funds. And plus the new amounts that we got from the Mass Cultural Council, which was 58,600. That was our allocation from the Mass Cultural Council for this year. Any other questions?
Do we want to spend all that money, or do we want to have some money left over so we can, if we want to do something or whatnot?
We are obligated, at this point in time, we're obligated to spend all of the money.
Okay.
We have the option as a council, we can do this before we get into the grants. When we're preparing for grant season,
Yeah.
if we have a project or that we want, we can allocate funds towards that project that we're doing.
Okay.
Or if we want to take some of the funds out for administrative expenses, we have the option to do that. But we're in the middle of grant cycle right now. These funds that we've already committed to the Mass Cultural Council that we're giving them out to our grantees.
Okay.
So, but that's a great question. Yes, I saw three hands. I think I saw Lily's go first.
Oh, this is maybe a question
Yes.
for Sharon. Because I see that you are typing, so I just wanted to know if like in what you are typing, if it's like Excel and we could know like right now, like if we fund all of them, like how much would that cost? And maybe like if you have like the Excel, like I can offer to make like a very easy like calculation, like just to see like what are the outliers, right? Like the most expensive, the less expensive, a mean, a most, and maybe that's gonna help like come up with a cap that you were explaining, like if the Excel is there, maybe.
Yeah, I can probably get that cap figured out before the end of the meeting.
Okay.
So we know where we stand right now. We have all the votes are in.
Yeah,
So I can, there's already an automatic calculation we're working in a spreadsheet. It's in Google Sheets versus Excel, and that's only because multiples of us have to access it.
Okay.
And we don't all have Microsoft accounts, so we stick with the free stuff.
I would have to double check it, but if I'm right, I believe that 74 of the proposals were approved.
Okay. So it's a big.
But it's the amounts too, so then you have to calculate the amounts.
Yes.
If you've already filled in everything, I actually have the calculation there. Now, there's 8 applications that don't have a decision on that. Well, they might be the denials, I have to change that box to the word again. And you have to change it to no.
That is it, 74. Wait, maybe it's 72, it's 8.
I'm sorry, and how many projects were approved so far?
That's what is calculated right now.
Yeah, so I'm seeing here,
I could actually count based on the chart here, so one. There were 13 that were declined.
it was number 77.
Number 77 was approved.
It was approved.
Yes.
That wasn't checked out.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. 77 was approved.
So
Yeah, I see.
77. Hard copy too.
What about 58?
58 was approved. That was the one that we had tabled.
Okay, I just wanted to check. Okay, so there's none pending, so now we're at 73 approved and 17 were declined.
This is my last question. Oh,
I want to hear the question.
okay. So let's say we do 1,000 or less, everybody gets that amount. Then that next step of isolating or articulating a few that we would want to increase a little bit, what we feel are worth it. How do we come up with those applications from what we have?
Well, so you've gone through all the applications yourself, but maybe you have some you personally
So we can all recommend.
you would like to see more funds given to,
Okay.
or others that you'd like to see less
Okay.
given to. More of a personal thing, and then you make you make your case for it, we deliberate over it, and then however we vote in that direction.
Okay.
So can I just on the way that we've done it in the past, what we would do, so we have the $65,165. We divide that among the 73 that were approved, and it would be an equal amount, which came out to $892.67. Some of those grants were only for $150 or $300 or whatever. So we go through and whatever
Take that
amount was the balance there, we put, calculate all of that and divide that amongst the ones that were not met.
Cool.
So, but my proposal was that I really, as much as I think having a lot of projects in town is great, I don't necessarily feel like more is better. Sometimes more is just more. And not only does it dilute the funds, but it saturates the town in ways that we've been struggling with the last few years, where so many projects are happening on top of each other that nobody has the support they need from the rest of the community because it's going in 5 different directions. So I do feel like, though we should fund everything that we approved to some degree, I don't think that it necessarily should be even across the board and the people who ask for the most get the most. I feel like we should look a little bit at the merit. And so I wanted to have a kind of a rubric, which I have some idea, but it's something that we could all come up with together. To me, I think, they're all approved, so they're all on that same playing field. But what is the public benefit? And how can we give points for things that meet our local priorities, as well as just the merit of the project itself, how many people it's reaching, what its impact is. And, it could be something like a 1 through 5 on public benefit, and then a 1 through 5 on the actual project itself. Is it exciting? Is it redundant? At a point, if it's supporting children or supporting seniors, or if it's bilingual, or if it's serving marginalized people, because those are all things that were in our priorities. Also, maybe at a point, if it's free. And then I think there's a way of maybe grouping some things based on how many proposals came from a certain organization or group or individual. Because, if one person is doing 5 projects and another person is doing 1 project, but it's really powerful, I think there should be some weight there, as well as how much it takes to do some of these projects, because some of them are small things where it's really only $300 to pay a performer to do something, but also the categories. So we have a lot of music, and there's a lot of different music, and that's great. But do we want 12 marching bands? Do we want, 6 rock and roll projects? I think that there would be a way, whether it's we look at what categories they applied under, like how many music projects, how many visual arts projects, how many humanities projects, and then say if 60% of our projects are music projects, then maybe 60% of the funding goes to those projects. Or if it's 20% is humanities, then 20% goes to humanities. I'm not sure how, like, I want everybody's feedback on this because I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I do feel like every project doesn't have the same needs. Just like when you have two kids, they don't have the same needs. And when they go even Stevens and everybody gets the same, everybody doesn't need the same.
It's not equitable.
It's not equitable. So, yeah, so I would like for there to be an equitable way. And I think I didn't mention, but I thought that off the bat, maybe we take 50% of the funding and divide it the way that we always have, like divide it equally amongst all the grants, and then take the other half and try to do this sort of rubric and figure out how, or just pick, each of us pick our top 5 projects that we think are the most impactful or deserve more money. And then come to the table with it next week and figure out how to divvy things up.
Tamar?
I just want to say a little historic. I believe Joe's the one who created the Excel that we currently have and have had. And so when I sat in Joe's seat, he did the way it's always been done. And it works. And it's very simple. And I think it's important for us to remember that this money is the state's money. It's given to the towns, so it's the city's money. And it's our job to give it back to the community and to give it all back to the community. And I think if we're going to get into a situation where we are starting to judge value as a group, it's not really our job, it's the community's job to judge. Then we need to reorganize the priorities to make them condense what we're allowed, what we can vote on to approve, so that if we're saying here as a group that we're parsing the money out too broadly and there's too much happening, I mean, really we want too much to happen, so that the community becomes a place where people want to come because there's so much happening. So if we're going to get into a situation where we're going to start as a group judging, then our priorities need to change so that the money is being distributed fairly. And so I would argue, Sharon, that why would we want to fix something if it's not broken?
And the reason why is, I think, I'm sorry.
No, I just, I don't want to turn it into a debate just yet. Are there any other folks that would like to contribute to the conversation before we give Sharon an opportunity to respond? Yes, Lily.
If there is something that we could maybe come up that puts a limit on organizations or individuals that are applying to multiple grants, just to prevent in the future that, like, if we want to fund like a lot of projects, like we could create like negative incentives in which maybe like an organization would maybe like put many projects at a lower cost so that they could go there. Does that make sense? So I don't know how to do it right now, but following a little bit of what Sharon was explaining of maybe like a way of assigning different types of projects, if we might want to think about that, of like, I don't know if it's by quantity of money or maybe not quantity of projects, but then like if you are gonna present 10 projects, maybe like the maximum amount that you are gonna receive across all of them will be like $200. I am just making up numbers.
Okay. Thank you. Did you have something?
I just think that's a good point, and maybe in the future we talk about and we maybe make a rule that like you prioritize the way you submit your projects, and then as you submit your projects, maybe and you get less funding or something like that. Just an idea, but I do think that's a good point. And maybe like some of these, like to Shara's point, like projects are going to be stepping on each other, and then they're going to be receiving less support from the community, from people that are active, and that's a problem. That's just that there may be a way we put questions in the grant so that we're not stepping on each other's toes. And one person that would be helping with the event or whatever can be at multiple, be there or whatnot. But it's a valid point. It's a very valid point.
Anyone else before I speak and then give Shara her opportunity? Okay. I want to, I can't stress this enough. Well, I did create this spreadsheet. I'm not married to it. It's not going to break my heart if we go in a different direction. As a council, we do what we want to do, but we have to go on the majority rules, and that's fine. And we'll all be myself. And I just wanted to put that out there. And Tamara, you made an interesting point around aligning ourselves with certain types of projects that we want to see funded. And we're not in the business of curating the events and the experience that folks have in the city of Fitchburg. The residents are the ones who want to witness that direction. And the material that you were presenting, Shara, I think would be a great thing to glean out of our public input meetings, because then we can stand as a council behind the public and giving the priority where they want it. And we're already doing that today. But I think everything you said was great, and but we're not prioritizing today, right now, with the public, right? And I think that we could work towards that for sure, and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I want to have Shara have one more chance to.
what I was suggesting is using the past, our priorities that we have developed by talking with the community and using those to determine how well they fit the priorities. Like when I first started going through, I was using our priorities as like a checklist, but not all, but some of those priorities are just, the logistics of it's happening here in town and it's being supported by local people and, serving local people, like all those things which are baseline, which are what makes it eligible. But then there's also like, what were the things that people most wanted to see? And I mean, maybe this is something that has to be developed for next year's proposals, but I do think that that a good percentage, at like 50 or 60% of it, should certainly be divided equally across the board. And then what we have left, we could look at the ones that have the biggest ask and the ones that have the, I'm not saying that we should quantify like this is better than that. But I do think that that I do feel like as much as we want to have wonderful things here in town, if we have a lot of things that are half-mast or not well supported, not well attended, that could be better met by having more support within the community, that we're finite. We're a town of, a certain number of people, and it's evolving as we speak, and it's going to be a very different thing 6 months from now, a year from now. But getting, I'm speaking from the perspective of being a public artist, and getting projects funded is really important, but then also getting them supported is important. And so I feel like, I'm trying to find the words. I feel like having I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like just try to find the right words to express this. But some of these projects, have been have said, oh, we can adjust to do a little less. But if they're asking for like $3,000 or $4,000 and they get 1,000, are they still going to be able to do it? That's hard to say. Some of them, I think, will find other sources, and some of them won't. And if we say we gave like $500 to everything, or I think we're at a better place, like $800 or $900, which is up close to what we've done before.
Yeah, when we're done debating and discussing this, I'm going to show where we're at with the town.
Right. As much as I want to do this, I feel like I don't have something that's really solid, and it's hard to like kind of create that right now. So, but I would like to have some ability to fund projects that are big projects and could use a little bit extra support. So if we could, maybe we take 10% or 20% off the top, and that can be extra funding. And I know that there were some things during our initial review that we talked about giving like less funding than they asked for, because it seemed incongruous. So I would like to be able to discuss those individually. But at the moment, I don't have any of those in my mind. I don't have any of them in my notes. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay. I know, Tammy, you had something that you still want to speak. So I just want to thank Tara for all that information. I landed in the exact conclusions we needed on this, and that's we do have to finish our vote. Well, we need to be ready to vote on its entirety on January 6th. And I know we'll have a fair amount of discussion next week, and that'll be the last meeting before January 6th. And I don't think we'll be able to develop the solution you're describing in time. I already made a note for me to put it on an agenda at some point during the course of next year. So maybe we can iron that out before we get to setting our guidelines and priorities, because this work is going to be part of that guidelines and priorities that we'll be publishing in the public. So I think we're due to revisit how we're doing the funding, because we get a lot of the same stuff that bump into each other, and perhaps we can, but we're doing what the public wants, but how are we managing that? I think is worth taking a look at. So thank you, Tim. I know you might have the floor.
I just want to say for everybody here who is going to end up in one of these seats one day, but that's the other piece of this, is that there's a lot of applications here, and there's a lot of back office work that has to be done. And so whatever is implemented needs to be easy for the next person to take the seat.
Yeah.
And Joe happens to be Mr. Excel, brilliant at bookkeeping. At the moment, we actually have a treasurer who's in City Hall, who's actually very good at spreadsheets. And we need to have a system where any community member can sit here and volunteer for their entire term or two, and come back if they want, and be able to master this. And it's hard. I just want to say that if I had not had Joe helping me, it would have been next to impossible, because I'm not a person who can do spreadsheets. The math is a lot. And so to come up with a system that breaks down the math in some other way, I would say it would make more sense to have our priorities such tighter, that we're stricter, that we eliminate grants, versus maybe there's a system, because I'm not a math person, I can't even fathom what I was talking about. And we've had this every year. There's somebody on the council that wants to have a discussion about how we should fund more or less based on a variety of criteria. But like whatever this system becomes, it needs to be such that everybody in this room can understand it, and something, God forbid, happened to Joe, and take his seat and run it through the course, get it funded, get it through City Hall, and get the grants and the money in the community. It's a hard thing to do. So if we're going to make a change, I'm just advocating for something that's gonna be simple and gonna be easy for any of us here to do if we had to, because it's not easy to sit in Joe's seat and to do this on the back office. It's hard.
Well,
So
that's all of that, because I agree with you, and I will say that the rubric, that the system that Joe devised is definitely easy, and it's simple math for those who are comfortable with math. Not everybody is, I acknowledge, I feel like, yeah, really, it is a thing about tightening our priorities and getting more information from the community.
Yeah.
I liked your stricter comment, like, not stricter, but maybe asking more questions and being more detailed, like asking for more details when it comes down to the grants in the future. And because this is 90 applicants now, what's it going to be like 3 years from now? I'm going to have 200. I would bet we would, like, not in the long distant future. So we can start addressing that and being proactive now. Yeah.
And maybe
Yes.
further.
Yes.
So, and on that conversation, you can see like amongst us, there's grants where we kind of like, we're like,
Yeah.
some of the, not to put any organizations on the hook here, but there's organizations in the town that have a certain class of people maybe that are behind them or fund them versus the solo artist or the solopreneur.
Yeah.
Like every year we have problems with some of those applications, and usually we fund them because it's part of the community and there's community people that attend. And so like those are areas where, in my mind, it'd be better to get this 90 down. Maybe there's 90, but maybe we're not even passing through the majority. And then it makes this all simpler, Shar.
Yeah.
Right, I agree with that.
Okay, Mike?
Just a comment and a question. It's clearly a very multivariate problem.
Yeah.
And we haven't even articulated, I think, all of the variables, let alone come up with a formula that encapsulates all of them. And my question is, I mean, it's great that we're doing that work. My question is, have we ever reached out to any other cities or towns to find out how they do it, or is there any system in place to capture at the end of a session, a season?
I have not. I've not spoken with council that works with our volume. I have talked with smaller councils, and yeah, we're ahead of the curve with them.
Okay.
But that's a great thing that we can probably do in the next cycle. So folks, I want to be respectful of your time. We have gone past our 8 o'clock time.
Yeah.
But I did want to point out, and I will, there's not enough time for me to share and explain the spreadsheet that we have, but we are looking at a grant cap of $990 right now. And that's 410, 415 less than last year. And it's just simply because of the sheer number of applications.
I have a question.
Yes, Sharon.
That was going through the first round, right? So
Well, that
we'll
was-
go through and
yeah.
look at the ones that were a lot less than that amount.
That is looking at all 90 applications, taking out the ones that were denied, and with the remaining ones, funding everyone up to $990. And everything that was $990 and higher were funded at $990. And I'm speaking in general on all of these numbers because we have a number of applications we have to vote separately. So assuming that we vote on this pattern, this is how it would work out. And we as a council, when we meet next Monday, we will talk about grant applications that we feel we should fund more or less on those funds. So I encourage all of you to do some homework between now and next Monday. Find those applications that you feel strongly need to be funded more, or some that you feel we should fund less for whatever the reasons are, and bring those to the table for us to debate, discuss at our meeting next week.
Cool.
And if there's any, as long as I don't do this with a quorum of membership, if there are others that want to try to find time with me one-on-one, I can kind of walk you through the spreadsheet. Even Tamar can probably do that if she has availability too. So unless anyone else has anything, accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn from Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan. All in favor? We're adjourned at 8:10 PM.